Welcome to Top Tier Wrestling, your ultimate destination for all things going on in the world of professional wrestling. Whether you're a hardcore wrestling fanatic or just a casual viewer, we've got you covered with the latest news, in depth show reviews, and our unfiltered opinions. Get ready to step into the ring with us and stay on top of the wrestling world. This is Top Tier Wrestling. Hello there! Welcome, gentle listener, to the Top Tier Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Timeless Donny Storm, joined as always by my partner in crime, Josh Shirakawa. And together, we're here to discuss AEW's PLE Dynasty, which aired over the weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. What more is there to say? Let's get into it and have a jolly good time.
All right. Timeless Donny Storm. Nicely done. Yeah,
I had to make you Josh Shirakawa and not Luther.
right now we're the timeless love bombs, so that's cool.
Yeah, that's way
Um,
better than you getting beat up by a girl. For getting beat
yeah,
up by a girl.
no one wants that. Um, but yeah, AEW Dynasty's pay-per-view was
Oh
outstanding.
my god! Oh
Yeah,
my god, bro.
and continuing with this week that they've spent in Canada, in different places, Dynasty is coming at us from Vancouver. Vancouver? Nice.
Vancouver!
Vancouver,
Woo!
British Columbia. And it had a hot start. We of course are covering the main card, not what transpired necessarily in 0 Hour. And the beginning of the main card is starting us out with jet fuel
If I may though,
because
just a teeny tiny shout out to Jungle Jack Perry for the match that he had with Mark Davis of the Don Callis family at for AW Zero Dark Hour. Just bits and pieces of that looked freaking brutal, and just like you read that, Jack Perry versus Mark Davis. Oh God, rip, Jack Perry. But
Rip Jack Perry. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, special shout out for that. Okay, sorry, continue.
Well, we start out the main card with the Young Bucks versus the Don Callis family in like the odd couple pairing of the conflicted Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita. And anybody who's in the know realizes that these two have been getting along about as well as vinegar and oil. They just don't mix, and that ends up playing out a bit in this match. Actually, quite a bit in this match.
What? Yeah.
But that said, there's no other real big heat or stakes on this one. It's just the Young Bucks versus
Yeah.
the permanent heel faction of the Don Callis family. What were your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, man, so the momentum starts strong and early and does not stop for this PLE. Like I'm just gonna go ahead and let you guys know right now. You're not gonna hear like this PLE was was the PLE that I needed and I didn't even know that I needed. Like
Yeah.
I knew that it was coming. I knew that it was coming, right? And I was just as excited for it as I am for most AEW PLEs because they're fucking going to be ridiculous.
Yeah, just for clarity's sake, though, PLEs, that's WWE.
I'm sorry, pay-per-view. Sorry,
Yeah,
PPV.
yeah, they do pay-per-views over here.
Right. Sorry. Well, this I knew this was gonna be a ridiculous pay-per-view. So I had my normal amount of AEW PPV excitement, you know, uh, which is usually huge. It's already big, but But this, like, yeah, this blew me out of the water. It was better than I thought it was gonna be, which is crazy to say because I thought it was gonna be freaking phenomenal. Um, and this opener, Jesus Christ, like, oh my God, the Young Bucks legit are one of the greatest tag teams of our generation. Like, if you got if
The
I don't
the greatest.
like, you could say whatever you want. We're not gonna go down the list on who's the best promotion. We're not talking about that right now. I'm talking about
AEW.
pound for pound for pound. The Young Bucks, like, they are, yeah, I have to say, like, they might just be the greatest tag team of our generation. God, they're so good. Uh, and this opener was no exception. The story that was being told between Takeshita and Okada uh was amazing. Just the actual in ring work was amazing. The false finishes, the like seriously, there was so much happening, and it was every last bit of it was good. The audience was AEW chanting most of the time, and I was here for it. Like, they were pretty active when it came to this match. Sometimes I felt like the audience was a little bit the word,
Low key.
yeah, and maybe they suffer what I suffer whenever I'm watching an AEW pay-per-view, which is, it's so exciting, like, and but there's so much that, like, towards the end I start to just like because I have been stimulated to the max. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah. It's
it's
overstimulating, I guess, beyond a certain point.
yeah. So maybe that's what they're feeling towards the middle or the end. They kind of get it back because AEW forces you. They, like, you will cheer. You're tired, sure, but you're gonna cheer. They force you into that, and I'm okay with that too. Yeah,
Yeah.
this opener was freaking ridiculous. Um, ultimately, ultimately, the I feel like it played out like it was going to. Um, I got, like, back there for a minute. I was getting really annoyed with the fact that Okada would do some really underhanded shit to Takeshita, and Takeshita just didn't, he never seemed to get the upper hand on the situation, which started to really get on my nerves, and they kind of backed away from that storyline where both of us were like, what are they doing? Where are we going? If they seem to be back on track with where we thought they were going originally, where it would be a match between Konosuke and Okada. I feel like they're gonna give us that finally, eventually. It depends on how Don Callis feels about the outcome of the match, because it was not Don Callis night. It was not Don Callis family night for Dynasty. What did you think about this match?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, how could I not? The
Yeah,
Young Bucks looked amazing, and
yeah,
Okada and Takeshita are just S class in ring performers. They
yes,
really are. And so you put them all four in the ring, and you're gonna end up making magic.
yeah,
And they really did. Like, you got the best of what you came to see out of the Young Bucks. You got to see, like, the power of Takeshita and the cunning and trolliness of Okada. It was phenomenal. And ultimately, yeah, you're right. Like, the Young Bucks end up taking the win, but it's because of an assist from Takeshita. Because Okada and Takeshita, like, ended up breaking out into a fight near the latter portion of the match. And when they tried to pull it back together, it just kept becoming like a comedy of errors where, Takeshita, I think, hit Okada with something, and then Okada, pulled, I can't remember if it was Matt or Nick, but he was going for the Raging Fire, and Okada pulled, the Young Buck back down to instead try and hit him with the Rainmaker, and he ducks, and he instead just demolishes Takeshita with a Rainmaker. And so after basically there was a point where Takeshita just got sick of Okada's shit, and so the Bucks set up Okada for the TK driver, and initially it looked like Takeshita was going to pull. I want to say it was Nick Jackson down off of the apron when he tried to springboard in to do the flipping portion of the TK driver. But then Takeshita very deliberately lets go of his leg and gives his blessing for them to annihilate Okada with the
Yeah.
with the driver. And after that happens, they of course pick up the victory, and you have Don Callis at the announce table like screaming, "What was that?" And so there's clearly super dissension in the ranks, and it looks like, this has been the last straw. Like Takeshita just ain't putting up with Okada's crap anymore. And I think I remember the Bucks like celebrated and left the ring, and Takeshita got back into the ring deliberately just to flip Okada off, like middle finger as close to the face as possible, like something that Okada would do. And
Oh.
Callis was entering into the ring at that point, but Takeshita just left, and it looked like he was done with it. Like he's just done with that bullshit. So that powder keg is the fuse is definitely lit. Like how it ends up going off, I'm not 100% sure on, because Don Callis prior to Dynasty tried to make it sound like they're going to manage to pull it off either way, and instead putting those two in a tag match together just made the explosive elements go off faster.
Yeah.
And a big part of it is because I don't know. I guess Okada feels threatened by Takeshita or something, because Takeshita's tried to make peace with this, and Okada just can't let it lie.
Yeah.
And Takeshita has finally just had enough. So I'm here for whatever the fallout is of that. I'm excited to see Okada and Takeshita go at it, and Takeshita just needs to beat the living shit out of Okada because he's been such a trolly ass to
Yes.
him.
Yes, I agree. That needs to happen.
Yeah. And I think it's not only going to be that, but it may very well be. It looks like there's a high likelihood that Takeshita just parts company with the Don Callis family, because Don Callis has turned a
We will.
blind eye to
Well, we'll
Okada
see.
being an asshole to him the whole time.
We'll see. I
Um,
I, I know there's not going to be as easy as the Kesha San piece, because Don Callis has made it pretty clear in the past couple of little vignettes where he's gotten up there and talked. Nobody's leaving the fucking family. That's not
yeah,
even an option. So we'll see how that turns out.
that's okay. I'm here to watch Takeshita like demolish the entirety of the Callis family if he needs to get out.
Oh, really? You think like? I mean, there are some big ones in there,
There are some big
literally,
ones in there, but
literally and figuratively.
Takeshita is the fucking
The
alpha for a
alpha, the
reason.
alpha.
Like
Yeah,
that dude is so good, and that will be his time to shine bright like a fucking diamond. And the
yeah,
buildup will have been a nice, long, slow burn, like to the point where we're sitting here going, "God damn it, Takeshita, start swinging,"
yeah. Slay your
And
enemies
so
right now.
it
Now's
will
the
be
time.
so cathartic to watch Takeshita turn on the Don Callis family and just run through them. And then he's going to get, I think it's going to, like, Okada's obviously going to be one of the first, but I think the last will be a standoff between Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. And we'll
Yeah,
see how that plays out. And I think it's going to be
yeah.
pretty
Ooh.
fucking phenomenal. I really do. I think that's going to be
Wee.
some great wrestling and some great
Yeah,
storytelling.
I'm excited. I'm excited about that. Yeah,
Yeah, so this was absolutely the fuse to light Dynasty off, and the rocket just loses no speed, no velocity as we continue into the next match,
yeah,
which is a returning Chris Jericho versus Ricochet. And this was a match that formulated earlier in the week, I believe, on Dynamite, when Jericho was coming back and he was going to sign his contract, and Ricochet got all in his face with the gates of agony and basically told him, get back on your little boat and go, stick to singing, and no one here in AEW wants you. And Jericho says, "You made the list." And so now it's basically just a grudge match between Jericho and Ricochet, and I was really pleasantly impressed and surprised, particularly with Jericho's performance here.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on this match?
I feel the exact same way. Uh, I think Jericho stands out in this match because this was his returning match, like he's been gone for nearly a year. Uh, I think he's been gone the right amount of time. I think he left for the right reasons, and I think he came back to the right promotion at the right time. And he comes back and he looked phenomenal. This is probably some of the best work that I've seen from Jericho in a minute. Because before he left, some of his in-ring work was looking a little bit tired. I feel like maybe he needed a little break, to work on himself and get some shit taken care of. And he comes back and he looks fantastic. Uh, his in-ring work with Ricochet, no less. Like Ricochet didn't dumb anything down. He didn't change his normal moveset. Ricochet remained Ricochet while in a match with Jericho, and Jericho held his own against him with some very clever moves to counter some of the stuff that Ricochet is really fire at. So this was a really great match where you got to see Jericho not only his his in-ring charisma, not only that, but you got to see him actually give you some skill, like some I've been in the game for quite some time, son, that kind of skill, which I normally see. um I see Edge or oh god, he's not Edge here. uh
Adam Copeland.
yeah, I used to see Copeland doing stuff like that in the ring where he is, if he's playing or if he's going against someone else who's younger, he usually does a lot of outsmarting type stuff just because, like, hey, I've been in this game, I've been in this ring for quite some time, and it shows. And I usually see him doing stuff like that. Jericho is pulling some shit off like that, which I really enjoyed seeing him do. Um I do not expect for Jericho to be a total face. This is Jericho, guys. We all know the only fact that he's a face right now is because he was going against Ricochet, and Ricochet is a mega heel. Like,
Ricochet
which
is also bald.
yes, and he's also bald, whereas Jericho is not. So, yeah, but I thought this was a great match, particularly for Jericho, who looked fantastic. Ricochet always looks great, but the fact that Ricochet did not have to water down any of his moves to make the match look good for Jericho, uh was that's a special, that's I feel like it needs to be noted because that's pretty awesome, considering that beforehand there were plenty of times where Jericho would have matches with younger competitors and they had to kind of slow down or water their moves down to match his energy or his speed or level, because towards the middle or end part of a match Jericho would slow down. This was not the case. Not the case in this match. It started high energy. It remained so throughout. And yeah, that's what I thought about the match.
Nice. Yeah, I completely agree. I was impressed. I agree that Jericho taking some time off was probably good. Because we were at a point where the crowd was chanting, it's time for him to retire. And so I think his hiatus served several purposes. One, it gave the crowd a chance to miss him. So now instead they're chanting, "You still got it," and he's looking directly at the camera saying, "I never lost it," and winking. Um, so it refreshes him to the crowd. The other thing is he obviously took the time to heal up and get in like incredibly good shape. Like he might be in the best shape we've ever seen him in.
Yeah.
He's leaned out quite a bit and he looks like he moves really well in the ring. He you know he's an older guy. I think that's fair to say at this point. Like he's in that same category as Adam Copeland, but he's refreshed his conditioning like a lot. And
Well,
so he's in this match with Ricochet, who, lives up to the name. I mean, this guy's bouncing all over the ropes and he's quick. And Jericho kept up with him, pace, pound for
yeah.
pound.
I think he's like he isn't he older than Copeland?
Quite possibly. I don't have their
Yeah.
ages right off the
Right.
top.
Of course. Of course.
But I will say Jericho hit all of his like greatest hits. Like he hit a
Yeah,
lion salt that looked really good. He had some code breakers that were just brutal looking, especially the one where he countered like Ricochet went for a shooting star press and he anti-aired him with a code breaker, and that was amazing. He also anti-aired him with a drop kick. Outside the ring, he tangled with Bishop Khan and Toa Leona of the Gates of Agony, and he hit, I want to say, Bishop Khan with a beautiful looking Judas effect that just decapitated him. Um, and he hit the walls of Jericho. I think the only thing I didn't see out of Jericho in this performance was a lion tamer, which I greatly like the lion tamer over the
yeah,
walls of Jericho. The walls of Jericho is a Boston crab, which is cool. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a Boston crab, but the lion tamer where he puts his knee in the back of someone's neck looks so much worse. But otherwise, we saw the greatest hits of Jericho. Like he did everything. He was wrestling like he was 25 years younger.
yeah,
Um, Now, despite all of that, you know, the only thing that ended up defeating Jericho in this match, I believe, is that he was just too outgunned by all of the interference from the Gates of Agony. Like
yeah,
like Ricochet definitely ended up having to leverage Bishop Khan and Toa Leona, and it was anybody's match to win, and it was looking like it was going Jericho's way until he gets laid out by Toa Leona on the floor, and that gives Ricochet enough room to hit like a whole series of maneuvers on him. Like Ricochet did this amazing set of moves where it started out with like a Northern Lights suplex that he then rolled into a brainbuster, and then he picked up Jericho and spun him around into a vertigo, like all back to back. And that was
yeah,
pretty brutal. And then after Jericho kicks out of that vertigo, he rises to his knees, and unfortunately Ricochet is able to, nail the spirit gun. And that was all predicated on Toa Leona just obliterating Jericho outside the ring before it.
yeah,
So this very much was a situation where, Ricochet wasn't beating Jericho clean. So, once the Gates of Agony were able to kind of sway it in his favor, he was able to actually pick up the win. But Jericho wrestled his ass off. I mean, it was fantastic. Both of them did. This was a really good match. I wasn't sure what to expect after Jericho not being around for a year, and his first big match on his return to AEW was a huge one. I mean, him and Ricochet really tore it up in there. It was a really good match.
yeah. I agree. I don't know. I don't know where this leads because if I know anything about Jericho and his list, Ricochet's not off of it. You know that you won that match. Good job. But I wonder if that's gonna take Jericho back into having a faction again, and if so, where's that gonna go? And if you do, can somebody go back to wherever you guys left Big Bill and bring him back, please? Like
Right?
I would love to see him go against Toa Leo. Toa. Wow, you know who I was talking about.
Toa Leona.
Yeah, you guys Toa Leo. You guys know who Toa Leo is, all right? Don't even. Um, I'd love to see that. Uh, what's his name? The other guy that's with them. Oh my lord, from
Brian Keith.
Greenspoint, Texas.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The bounty hunter, Brian Keith.
Yeah, the bounty hunter from Greenspoint. Yeah, bring him back. I don't know where they are, but I would love to see them in the ring again. Like Keith is fantastic in the ring. Uh Bill is you're not gonna find a dude like that just on the street. Like he's like 7 feet tall in great freaking shape. He's a walking giant muscle. Like,
Yeah,
come
it's
on.
true.
Put him in there. Put him in there. Put him against the Don Callis family. There are some people in there that could get some ass whoopings. Like, come on. Bring
I
them
mean,
back. Please.
by all means, flesh out the trios division some more. That'd be fine with
Yeah.
me.
And Jericho owes them an apology for leaving them in the first place. And this whole learning tree bullshit, you gotta let that go. and just have them around as just help whenever he's in a match like what he was in with Ricochet, who's got two little Goombas who don't know when to fuck off.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I
Goombas
definitely
isn't a
don't think
racist
it's.
term, is it? I don't think it
I
is.
don't believe so. It's
Yes.
it's what you call the little mushrooms from Mario.
Ah, yeah. All right, cool. Well,
But here's the thing. I definitely do not believe that Jericho and Ricochet is done because
no.
Ricochet not only had to cheat to beat Jericho, but on top of that, after he hit the spirit gun before he made the pin, to add insult to injury, he landed a lion salt on Jericho. So Jericho's not going to take that insult to
Yeah.
his ego. He can't.
Mm-mm.
Um, I do think it would be cool if he reunited with Big Bill and Brian Keith, but maybe approached them and said, you know, last time I was the learning tree. I was the teacher. You were my students. I'm not here for that now. You guys don't need that now. I'm here for allies and gold. What do you say? Maybe something like that. That'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. Something like that. It can't be from a teacher student uh point anymore. And that I think maybe if they do that, that's probably how they'll approach that. They'll probably have Bill saying something along those lines. Uh
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
yeah. Yeah, I'd be here for that. And then bring him back.
Right? Yeah, that'd be a good way to like not throw away all of what the learning tree like faction was, but to like freshen it up into something that you have to take more seriously.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that you have to take more seriously, the next match was very serious. The next match on this amazing card is Darby Allin versus Andrade El Idolo, again of the Don Callis family. And the winner gets a guaranteed shot at the AEW World Title. Apparently, at the time of their choosing. Um, and I was just thinking, man, like it just keeps the intensity, like the gas pedal is down because Andrade El Idolo has never looked better than he has on this run in his return to AEW.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not just talking about his physique, although he may have never had a better physique than he has right now. But like the way he's booked strong. He's booked like somebody who will just demolish whoever he's in the ring with. And
Yeah.
Darby Allin is a psychopath, like for a couple reasons. Not only because of what he's willing to do to his opponent, but what he's more than willing to do to himself to get that job done. And so we knew we were about to be in for a thrill ride of a match. I mean, you just know it. That all
Yeah.
said, what were your thoughts on this match between Darby and Andrade?
Yeah, I am really enjoying the storyline in general that they have for Darby Allin. Um, it's a strong one, and it's been a slow burn for quite some time. I don't know if this is his moment. I don't know if it's his time to get that belt, but the story that they are telling with him is fantastic. This match was crazy. Um, and you're right. Andrade has never looked better. This run in AEW is one of like it's the best. I was gonna say one of his best, but no, it's the best. Andrade, excuse me, does not get lost in a sea of other talent here, and there is lots of talent. There's lots of talent in AEW, but they're doing a great job at, and I think he's doing a great job because I mean he's got to do his part as well, of looking dominant and looking like you said like an impressive competitor. So when I saw that it was him and Darby, I was like, oh boy, um, because well, we still have to give Darby credit because Darby is not only a psychopath. You're correct. He'll do some crazy shit to his opponent and himself. but he's also a really good technical wrestler, which he showed us
Yeah.
in his match with Pac, which pissed Pac off and caused Pac to cheat. I'm never gonna let that go, Pac. Never.
No,
Um,
not ever.
so he's got that, and he's got the absolute, like, yes, I can we can have a technical bout if you'd like, but I can also snap my shit and lose it and do whatever I need to do to win this freaking match. And that's exactly what he did. I mean, this match was like, I have to give AEW credit just in general for this pay-per-view, because they, like, every match had enough ample enough time uh to do what they needed to do in the ring to look fantastic. And this was just such a great storytelling match. I enjoyed the ending very much. um Andrade adds another feather in the topic of discussion at the round table for the Don Callis family. I can
Yeah.
only imagine Don Callis just head imploding every 5 minutes during this pay-per-view. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
I thought this match was fantastic. It told a fantastic story. Both competitors looked amazing. Darby Allin, I no longer question whether or not he can win a match against anyone. Remember, back in the day when we first started watching AEW, we would see Darby and we would go, how is this dude going to win anything against anybody? Because, like, he's like 110, 120. You know what I mean? We were
Yeah.
we were just like, and he answered that question fairly quick. Um by
Yeah.
throwing
Yeah.
himself like a missile towards anything and anyone: walls, floors, humans, chairs, glass tables, glass doors, glass panes. Anyone and anything can get it. He will
Yeah.
he will throw
Yeah.
himself at it. Fantastic match though.
Yeah. The answer is that Darby Allin is more willing than anyone else to kill himself in the ring to get a win.
Yes. Yeah. Like, Jack, you gotta ask yourself before you get into the ring with him. Think about what he's willing to do to himself. Right? This is stuff that he's going to
Yep.
feel. So just imagine what he's gonna do to you, or what he's gonna try to do to you. Just, yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna have to go in there, go in there looking for a fight. That dude is no joke.
No. And in this match, that's exactly what he did. Like, Darby
Yeah,
Allin was absolutely willing to break his spine in half in order to beat Andrade.
he tried
And
too.
if you've seen matches, a lot of times the match plays out that Allen's getting his ass kicked until he's not. Um, and in much the same way this did that, but there was some spots where, like, Allen's own offense against Andrade, or rather I'll say Darby versus Andrade so that we're not alliterating with A and A.
Yeah.
Um, like when they fought out into the crowd and they were going up concrete steps, Darby Allin does a drop kick to Andrade. And there's two reasons this was just ferocious. One, Andrade has to not then fall all the way down the damn steps, but he did fall down some of them. And
Whoa.
Darby Allin, this was a shotgun style drop kick where he just dropped straight to his back. So he ended up with a stair, like a concrete corner of a stair, just in the middle of his back.
Yeah.
And by the time they made their way back to the ring, you could see the welt that left on Darby quite clearly. So that
Oh,
obviously hurt. Um, and Darby did all of the standard crazy shit, like his suicide dive where he literally becomes a human missile. He hit that. Um, there was a point where Andrade was posing with somebody outside the ring, some little hottie of the day that wanted to take his picture, and Darby Allin, like, coffin dropped off the top rope down to the floor on him.
yeah.
Um, Darby Allin has also taken to, like, putting his opponent in a chair at ringside, like just sitting him there, and then doing from the top rope a like flying shotgun drop kick, which means he just takes a straightforward back bump from the top rope to the ground. So Darby Allin is crazy, and he's willing to do almost anything. I mean, I think if Darby Allin ever quits wrestling, it'll be because he killed himself.
Yeah.
Because it's just insane. But ultimately, Darby Allin is able to cause enough damage and weather the storm of Andrade enough that it gets Andrade to forget that Darby Allin is actually a very good technical wrestler, as you mentioned. And near the end of the match, Darby goes to Andrade for a code red, but Andrade rolls out of it and hits him with the feint kick to back elbow. But this still didn't pin Darby Allin. So he tries to go for the DM, and Allin spins out of it and sort of rolls up and traps Andrade's legs for a really nice looking pin. I wish I knew what the name of this pin was because it was fantastic looking. It's like he did a back bend while he had Andrade's legs tied up almost in a figure four. And
Yeah.
so Andrade was like super leveraged, and he gets the 1, 2, 3 count. And this was very impressive. And Andrade was surprised at the end of the match. And, he had to kind of, you could see it play out on his face. He was thinking about what the hell just happened, and then he's pondering it, and he looks over at Darby, who is like resting up against the ropes, like dying still from the match.
Hmm.
And he's like, son of a bitch, that guy can wrestle. And so to all of our surprise and to delight, I think, Andrade goes over there and shakes hands with Darby Allin. Like Darby Allin earned Andrade's respect legitimately. And this, of course, like Don Callis, it doesn't make any sense to him. He's like, "What is happening?" Like this is Don Callis all night at Dynasty. So you see from Andrade that there's a bit of honor in him, or at least respect. And so, yeah, fantastic victory for Darby Allin, though
Yeah.
he smashed the crap out of himself to pull it off. And now he's got a guaranteed title shot. So whoever's walking out of Dynasty as the world champion has got Darby Allin to look forward to next.
Don't envy you.
No, that's going to be some crazy shit.
Yeah.
But
Well.
yeah, keeping the momentum going. The next match is for the AEW World Tag Team Championship, and it is a super grudge match between FTR and the returning Christian Cage and Adam Copeland. And this is where Adam Copeland and Christian Cage hope to not only get their pound of flesh for the attack that FTR instigated against them some months ago that sent them on hiatus, but also to take the thing that seems to matter to FTR the most, those World Tag Team Championship belts. That said, what were your thoughts on this huge AEW World Tag Team Championship match?
This actually could have been a match without the belts because this was our like this could have been just a grudge match. And I just mean if FTR didn't have the belts, this still could have been just a grudge match between the two teams, and would have been just as gritty. Um, with that being said, having the also added um uh weight of winning belts on it, that heightens the tensions. Uh, this match I thought was so. I have been very, very, very critical of Christian Cage. How does Nigel say it? Christian Cage in the past?
Yeah.
Um, I
No,
have
no.
been very,
Nigel says it when he's referring to him. He just says Father of the Year.
yeah. Oh God, Christian Cage. Um, but I've been very critical of him, and sometimes of Adam Copeland because Adam Copeland has a uh tendency to wrestle with his face for like 10 minutes of the match before anything else ever happens. Like he's usually getting beat up, and all you see is the cameraman, zooming in on his face while he's making, different faces like this sucks. All the faces that he make, they all sum up this sucks. That's what they all mean. Um, and he kind of did that. He kind of did just that in this match. Adam did that in this match. He was the guy that was like, oh, 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 oh. He was that guy. But Christian Cage, I have to give him some props here because that dude decided that he was gonna do. I don't know what got into him. I don't know what got into Christian. But his tail was bushy and he was looking for the smoke. He just kept jumping off of everything. He was trying to. He was like, "Is this the highest point of the ring? I'm gonna jump off of it." Like that's pretty much what he did for most of the match. He was just jumping and being extra Christian, but it really, really worked. He really did go all in on this match, and so did Adam. Uh, Going against FTR, like Christian Cage and Adam Copeland are good singles competitors. They're entertaining to watch in that respect. But on a day to day, Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood are freaking ridiculous. Like this is a tag team that I could believe could squash a lot of other tag teams in other divisions. Like they are the real deal, and probably again one of the better tag teams of our generation. They're not like they're not you know super kick party level. They're not Young Bucks level, but they're there. They're there. They're in the same neighborhood. Um, so going against them is kind of a big deal. Like you gotta bring something. You gotta look good, and I think Christian Cage and Adam Copeland held their own here. I did not expect for them to win. I'm just gonna be perfectly honest. They always have their secret weapon or their not so secret weapon, Big Stoke, to interfere. They always have that. But I did not see them winning. I did see them giving them one hell of a beating though, because they are deserving of an ass whooping for what they did to Adam's wife. Excuse me. So with that being said, yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great match. I just honestly did not think that they were gonna win, but what I wanted to see from them, I think I saw from them.
Yeah, I agree. And I also agree that Christian Cage really brought it here.
Yeah, he
So
lost
did
his
so did
shit.
Adam Copeland. Um, but Christian was diving off of all kinds of shit. Like he dove over like off the corner to the outside, and I was like, "What the hell?" Um, and they were really wrestling a hell of a match. There was a point where Adam Copeland got up on the top rope and dove and did like a flying clothesline. And I'm like, okay, everybody's bringing out the big guns for this evening. Um, but you're spot on that Stokely ends up interfering, and that causes a great amount of difficulty for Cage and Copeland.
So gonna
Uh,
Stoke.
First, Stokely goes and gets the title belt, and him and Christian end up in a tug of war as he's trying to take it in there, and somehow the referee is missing a good portion of this. Um, sorry, it wasn't Stokely in the tug of war. Sorry, he hands the belt to Cash Wheeler, and Cage grabs hold of the other side, so they're doing a tug of war, and
Right.
about the time Cage ends up losing that tug of war, Wheeler ends up turning it towards Copeland and just smacks him in the head with it. And, this immediately causes Adam Copeland to start bleeding like big time. So for a good portion of this match, Adam Copeland is like just wearing fully the crimson mask,
Yeah.
like a lot. Um, And then the way the match ended up playing out kind of from that point, you know, it was an uphill battle. I think it was cool. There was a point where FTR tried to go for Shatter Machine, and they countered. Cage and Cope countered out of it, and instead hit 3D. So little homage to the Dudleys, their longtime rivals back in the day. Um, and I want to say there was a really funny part where Christian Cage is sick of Stokely's shit, and so Copeland is in the ring, and I think FTR is going for a pinfall. And to break up the pinfall, Christian throws Stokely so hard into the ring that Stokely ends up breaking up the pin. And this pisses off Dax Harwood. So he ends up getting in Stokely's face, and Stokely's freaking out. And he instead tries to blame the referee and shoves the ref. And then the ref shoves Stokely back, and that sends Stokely out of the ring. It's always so good to see Stoke get his ass kicked. It's just
It
fun.
is. It's heartwarming.
Uh, it's heartwarming. It's good family entertainment.
Yeah, you want to stop the
Um,
war? You want to stop the war? Pick Stokely up.
yeah, there you go. But long story short, ultimately it ends up being basically a 2-on-1 against Adam Copeland from FTR because Cash Wheeler outside the ring rams Christian Cage first into the turnbuckle post like pretty hard, and then just pitches him over the not the announce table, but the timekeeper's desk. And
Yeah.
so he's just kind of down and out, and that allows FTR to double team Copeland. And Copeland, he put up a good fight 2-on-1 for a bit, but ultimately FTR, is able to overcome him, and they counter into like the way they ended up hitting Shatter Machine this time was pretty good. It looked like Copeland came out for a spear, and that got countered into like a sunset flip. And that put both of the members of FTR on the same side, and they just lifted Copeland up into the Shatter Machine and then got the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty snazzy way to do it. Like the way I just described it doesn't do justice to how cool it flowed when they did it in the ring. It
Yeah.
was very
No.
good. I highly recommend checking it out. I recommend checking out all of Dynasty, honestly.
Yes.
Um, But at the end of the match, FTR mocks Copeland by showing him some false love, giving him like getting in his face and kissing his forehead, and then they end up getting kind of out of the ring, and then to make sure they stay out of the ring, Cage finally crawled back from behind the timekeeper's desk with a chair, and that's kind of how the match ended up ending. So unfortunately, Cage and Cope weren't able to extract their vengeance against FTR, and so I don't think that's done yet. But I think your prior prediction about why you didn't think they were going to win this match because it's going to ultimately be FTR versus the Bucks, I think that's playing out.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yep.
here for it. I sure as heck won't mind FTR and the Bucks running it back. I just hope that the next time they run it back, it's the Bucks that win.
Yeah. I hope, man.
And they're gonna have to kill Stokely or something to take him out of the picture.
Jesus. That
Like,
is.
well, maybe Cage and Cope will do it for him.
I
You
mean,
know?
I think maybe Stoke needs to actually get a hoe, and
Oh
and
God, why
then
would you condemn some poor woman to that?
listen, ho gon' ho. So just find him somebody and keep him busy to go away. Cause he's getting ballsy now. The little weasel, he's getting in the ring now. He's getting all puffy chested. He's becoming a problem.
Yeah, he needs to be checked. But
I miss the
another
days he was
fantastic
faking that
match.
wheelchair bit.
Yeah,
Cause now he's too
get
active.
back in it.
Yeah, now he's too active. Now he's got the quickie feet. No.
Yeah. But following that match, we hear briefly from Willow Nightingale, who was attacked during Zero Hour by returning Camille.
Was she
And
attacked by Camille, or was she attacked by the wall that she kept running herself into, while Camille gently rubbed her back?
maybe the latter. But for anybody who's not aware of who Camille was, and I wouldn't be surprised if you weren't, when Mercedes Monet was first on the scene, she had a huge female bodyguard named Camille, and she then disappeared, never to be seen or heard from since. After that didn't go so well for her. And so Camille is returning, and apparently Willow Nightingale has been dubbed the comeback killer. And she says, Camille could have just asked for a match, but since she attacked me, I'll be happy to kill her comeback too. And so they're going to be fighting one another for the TBS title at Dynamite, Spring Breakthrough Dynamite this coming Wednesday.
Yeah. So apparently she did her little attack and whatnot, and then went out and had a match against Big Ann, where she won. And good on you. I mean, I'm pretty sure you had plenty of energy, since you did nothing but rub Willow Nightingale's back before you went out there into the match. Um, but but if and I were Willow, uh, I would pay you back that business in spades. Um, and God, man, Camille, please, please attempt to look impressive when the camera's on you. Please, now is your moment. You're built like a fucking brick house. Let's go. Come on.
Let's go. Yeah. Here's hoping that match goes well. Like, it's a good match, but I think Willow is going to end up destroying another comeback.
I mean, but at least make it look good, Camille. Like, that's the one thing that I really need a lot of wrestlers to like fucking process, bro. If you're not gonna win the match, okay, but make it look good. I don't need to tell them that. Who the fuck am I? They know. Make it look good. That's all people care about, man. You want somebody to remember you?
Thanks.
Make it look good. Ah, that's all.
Well, after Willow's brief interview, we are taken to the next match, and it's a big one. It is the Casino Gauntlet match to determine a new TNT champion that had to be vacated. That championship had to be vacated when Kyle Fletcher became injured.
Rip.
I believe Kyle Fletcher messed up his knee. I don't have like all the super details, but it looks like he could be out for a while. Which is unfortunate because Kyle Fletcher is amazing. Wishing him a speedy recovery. But they do have to figure out where that TNT championship needs to go, and what better way than a Casino Gauntlet. The only thing we know about this one going in is the first two entrants, and it's going to be at number 1, the Psycho Killer, Tommaso Ciampa. And, not to slow start, number 2 is going to be Roosh from LFI.
Oh, and jobbers. See, we're gonna start with 2 jobbers, I guess.
Yeah, anybody who's been paying attention to Tommaso Ciampa since he debuted in AEW knows that he's brutal. And anybody who has watched AEW long enough to ever see Roosh knows that he is absolutely vicious. So for these two to start out, we were like this match is going to be over before it gets started, because either Roosh or Tommaso are going to kill one another. Now, it didn't quite play out that way, but what were your thoughts on this gauntlet?
Holy smokes. So I'm already like exhausted from what I've seen already. And then they're like, "Oh yeah, and now let's just have a, I don't know, Casino Gauntlet match." Like, what the adrenaline turned up. Adrenaline in my show. Yeah. Something Cody Ross. Anyway, I had to. No, this is amazing. Um
See, I
No,
always thought
we
it
did
was "Look at my mustachio."
that too. That's the second verse.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but this was like you're right. All we knew was that Tommaso Ciampa and Roosh were gonna come out there and beat the snot out of each other for an undisclosed amount of time. Uh, which they did. Holy shit! But then, right, like number three, Bandito. Shut up, Bandito.
Yeah, it just doesn't start. I mean, like it starts out with two top like nasty competitors, and they're like, "Well, if you thought that was good, how about
Yeah,
Bandito?" And we're like, "Oh my god!"
it doesn't slow down until I think entrant number seven. That's when it's like, oh yeah, who gives a shit? But like you got Bandito, he comes in. Then Speedball Mike Bailey. Oh, okay, this gets worse. El Clone. Guys, we already have Tommaso Ciampa. We have Roosh. We have Bandito, Speedball Mike Bailey, and now El Clone. And
Yeah, El Clone. Jeez.
I bet you're wondering how can this fucking stink pile get stinkier? Pack, the bastard Pack. He joins the fray as entrant
Yeah.
number
Oof.
6. Holy shit. And it's already a madhouse. Each competitor comes in when they do, they give them their moment to shine. We've seen Bandito, we've seen El Clone, we've seen Pac, and then Daniel Garcia. Daniel Garcia comes in, uh, and
Now, I agree with you. I'm like, okay, which of these is not like the other? But
but
the only upshot to Daniel Garcia is that it improves Pac's odds of winning. I mean, you've now got two Death Riders in there.
this is true. That was it. You know, and as as meh as Daniel Garcia is, he did do a little something while he was in there. It wasn't all just him going, "There you are." You know what I mean? Like he actually did do a little something. Um, but shortly after he got into the match, then Anthony Bowens, and then the Jet Kevin Knight, and then Wheeler Yuta. So like this just gets stanky. We got 10 people, and every last one of these guys really could be the guy. Well, all 9 of these guys could be the guy to win this match. Um, but
Except Daniel Garcia.
yeah, 9. That's why I said 9. Um, the number 9 and also 9 when it comes to Daniel Garcia. both, both.
Yet.
Uh, but then in a surprise, I was very shocked actually by who won. I'm not saying like any one of these guys could have been the guy to win the match, but the person who did win was the Jet Kevin Knight. And it's not the fact that he won, it's how he won that might be up for some discussion come Wednesday. Um between the two on camera because they don't like everything pauses until the next show and then life continues. You know how it is in the wrestling world. They're friends. They could not have talked about this beforehand though. It's gonna have to be on camera. Um, but he ends up getting the win by who was on top of Bailey. Mike Bailey was getting pinned by
Dan-
someone.
no, he wasn't getting pinned. He was in a
He wasn't.
submission hold.
He was in a
Yeah,
submission hold. Okay.
Daniel Garcia had Mike Bailey in the Dragon Tamer, I guess is what they called it. I thought it was called the Dragon
No.
Slayer. I'll have to
Yes.
double check that.
And Kevin Knight flew from the heavens and flew from the heavens and landed on both of them. Uh, and pretty much got the win. He pinned Did he pin Garcia, right?
Yeah, he Kevin Knight UFO splashed onto Daniel Garcia, and
Right.
that's how he broke Mike Bailey out of the Dragon Tamer, but then he secured the pinfall with it.
Yeah.
So
So
I was surprised by who could have won, but I was totally unshocked by who got pinned and lost.
yeah. I mean, I wasn't surprised by that. It was the fact that he was on top of Mike Bailey, and then Kevin Knight was like, "I believe I can fly," and then just landed on on Garcia's face, and then pinned Garcia. So that's
Yeah.
it. I mean, like that I'm like, oh yeah, sure, you pinned Garcia, but it was the Mike Bailey part that I feel would be up for some discussion come Wednesday. Mike Bailey,
Yeah.
in the most proper, polite way, will be like, "Could you explain what that was about?"
Yeah, because they did show the look on Bailey's face of being like, well, thanks for the save, but then you stole the match from me. And so I'm curious to see how that's going to be approached come Dynamite.
Yeah, but I mean, did he steal the match from him or did he win the match? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
He,
I agree. I'm just saying the look on Bailey's face made it look
yeah,
like he felt it was sus.
yeah. I mean, maybe I don't know, but the point was to win the match, right? And there could only be one winner.
True,
Um,
true, true.
and I'm sure if Mike Bailey could just look past how it happened because it was unfortunate, yes, but you being put into like a dragon sleeper or mountain lion tamer or whatever it is Daniel thinks it is. Um, I mean, you were
Yeah.
in a position like you weren't winning at that moment, my dude, you know? So the fact that he landed on top of Daniel and stopped the whole submission hold being done to you, that's kind of a like, two birds, one stone. But
Yeah, I
somebody
don't
needed to win the match, right?
I don't disagree. I think Bailey might have had confused feelings at that moment because he
Yeah.
technically lost the match, but then he was saved from that submission hold. So, it's entirely likely that him and Kevin will address it and it will be no thing at all.
Yeah. See,
Um
I'm thinking Mike Bailey. Maybe he thought for a second there that Kevin was supposed to do what he did, roll off of Garcia back to his feet and then help Mike Bailey up and then they go their separate ways and continue the match. But that's great. He could have done that. He could have done that. But the point of this match was for a belt. You know what I mean?
I do. I do.
So,
I don't
that's my
think
opinion.
I definitely don't think Kevin Knight did anything wrong because you're right.
Yeah.
It's a singles match where only one person can win. And in
Yeah.
the process of trying to secure that win, Kevin Knight also happened to save his tag partner. So I think that's the proper way to look at it. But I do think that it's probably definitely, let me retry that because there's no probably definitely. They're definitely going to address it between the two of them, but I don't think Kevin Knight did anything wrong.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to clear the air and it's going to be fine. And, um, it might be something like, hey, man, I'm sorry it went down that way, but, I'm not sorry that I won the match. And then, Speedball might be like, hey, it's all good. You did what we came to do. It was a singles match, but hey, if you want to do me a favor to make it up to me, you can give me the first crack at that belt. And that would be fine. That would be
Yeah.
totally cool.
I agree.
But a fantastic gauntlet match, really really good, and it went a lot longer than I thought it would because like gauntlets are like the inverse of a battle royal where you want to be like later entrant into the ring, and usually the gauntlet it's like the earlier the better because it could end any time. It's the first pinfall or submission, and this one actually went pretty long to get in 10 people. And coming in a little bit later was Kevin Knight at what, number 9, and so he managed to pull off the victory. So in that regard, I guess the advantage to coming in a little bit later is that if the match is still going on, you've got that fresh factor. You're not as beat up.
Yeah.
but a little bit of angst between the Jet. And there was also a cool dynamic in that because once everybody was in the ring, you had three Death Riders, so the odds were heavily skewed. Even though one of them was Daniel Garcia and the other was Wheeler Yuta, it was heavily skewed in favor of a Death Rider winning that match. And then you
Yeah.
also had a coexistent tag team. You had Jet Speed in the ring, so it was a high likelihood that either one of them could win. And it just so happened to be Kevin Knight. So congrats to him for picking up a TNT championship. You know, Kevin
Yep.
Knight's on a hot streak, and I'm here for it because he's a
Yeah,
great
he is.
wrestler.
Yep, yep.
Now, following that epic gauntlet and the new title, a title change, or rather, I don't know, would you view that as a title change? I guess it changed from vacant to now on Kevin Knight,
Yeah.
so I guess that counts.
Yeah.
Um, we are brought to the AEW Women's World Championship match with the defending champion, the Toxic Spider Tekla, who is insane but also really, really gifted in the ring, versus the Brawling Bird, Jamie Hayter. And what were your thoughts on this Women's World Championship match?
Uh well, okay, so on paper, this looks like it would be a easy victory for Hayter, I would say. Because she's a powerhouse, and if they were to book her the way that I feel could be booked, she could have completely destroyed Tekla. Um, that's just my personal opinion. Okay, but this match for me was kind of a slow burn. It started off slow for me. It did. But it started to pick up. And then Jamie started to be Jamie Hayter, and this ended up being a fantastic match. Much better than I honestly thought it was going to be. And I said to myself, oh, if there's gonna be a match that's gonna be like a throwaway match, it's gonna be the women's match. I'm so sorry. That's what I was thinking. It was, and I was incorrect. I'm happy to say that I was incorrect because this was really, really a good match, and Jamie Hayter looked fantastic. Tekla still had to do what Tekla has always done whenever she's won a match to win the match, though. And that's the only issue that I have with this. I still haven't seen Tekla. Tekla's good enough to win clean. I don't understand why every single time she has won, it's been a cheat of some sort. I don't think it's necessary. Um, yeah, I don't think it's necessary, but that's just my opinion. But aside from that, I thought this was a pretty damn good match. Much, much better than I thought it was going to be. And not the weakest match of the night. Your opinion.
I'm inclined to agree with everything you said. It did start out a little slow. It seemed like there was going to be a whole lot of like, we're just going to trade strikes and then, go out of the ring and run each other into barricades. I don't feel like the match really kicked off proper until they're outside the ring and Jamie Hayter keeps carrying. I want to say keeps carrying Tekla like further and further up the entrance ramp, and it looked like she wanted to try and carry her in a vertical suplex position the whole way up there, but it just didn't work out that way. And so she keeps trying to get this suplex done to Tekla, and Tekla finally reverses out of it and counters into a DDT, and then like kicks Hayter rolling down the entrance ramp all the way back to the ring, and then they start like really going at each other proper from that point on. Um, there was some cool stuff that happened here, though. There was one point where I was so pleased. Jamie Hayter hit a Liger bomb, like a just this beautiful sit out power bomb on Tekla that I was thrilled to death to see. I love power bombs, and she threw a tremendous one to Tekla here. Um, And then after that, they just really took it to one another. I want to say Tekla hit Hayter with like this nasty looking spider suplex out of the top turnbuckle in the corner. And then, as she is wont to do, she sits right back up. I think Tekla's core is probably the most powerful thing on her. Um, but yeah, ultimately it plays out as you said. Neither woman was able to quite do in the other. So what ends up happening is Tekla ends up going for a quick like pin, like what is it? It's like a roll up pin, but then she also does the back bend, and when she hits the back bend to kind of add extra leverage to the pin, she grabs hold of the rope, and the ref, of course, doesn't see this. And Jamie Hayter gets pinned 1, 2, 3 for a quick pin, and Tekla gets the hell up out of there so that Hayter can't kick her ass anymore. And I remember almost immediately following that, out comes Hayter's tag partner Alex Windsor, and she's livid because she's griping at the ref like that's bullshit. She was holding the ropes, and they're complaining about it. And then out comes the rest of the Triangle of Madness, the Sisters of Sin. And I thought we were going to get a brawl, but it really doesn't play out that way as the Sisters of Sin and Tekla, retreat up the entrance ramp with Tekla talking mad shit the entire time, and both of the Brawling Birds in the ring looking really annoyed at the cheat win. I'm
Yeah.
also inclined to agree that I don't think Tekla needs to cheat, but it might be kind of like MJF's situation where MJF is so wildly talented, it would be easy for him while he's trying to be the heel to just go over because he's good. He's really good. And so maybe Tekla keeps using the cheat win, even though she doesn't need to keep from going over as a heel because she really could if she wasn't doing that. Like you would just cheer for her because she's awesome in the ring.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only supposition I have because
Yeah.
I agree with you. She doesn't need to cheat. So it
Mm-mm.
just makes it all the more annoying. And the only real purpose I can find for that is that you want to keep her as someone getting booed by the crowd. Like you want everyone to make sure that they know that she's not the hero and she's the villain. Because otherwise she's so talented that she might just go over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was with you in that line of thinking. I was like, maybe the women's match will be the thing that stops the momentum, and it sure didn't. I mean,
Mm-mm.
we both can agree that it started out slow, but it definitely didn't play out and finish that way. So, another great match.
Another great match.
Following that epic encounter between the women's champion and Jamie Hayter, we are taken to probably the grudgiest grudge match on the card, the one
Ugh.
that is the most personal, at least for one of them. It is
Ugh.
the AEW Continental Championship match between Jon Moxley, the defending Continental Champion, versus a returning Will Ospreay, who is not exclusively motivated by the Continental Championship belt, although he does want that. He's more motivated at breaking Jon Moxley's neck out of revenge. And what were your thoughts on this match?
This was the hardest match of the night for me. Um, I really, really had a side that I picked firmly. uh, and I wanted that side to win. Um, Normally I'm Team Moxley, man, but I was really, really, really looking for Will Ospreay to have a somewhat more dominant um victory or victory at all here in this match. But John Moxley just I feel like Will Ospreay not only put him like if he needed to, like he didn't. he didn't, but like if he needed to, he totally put himself over, but definitely put John Moxley over as as a force to be reckoned with. John, like they both looked great, but John Moxley ended up looking uh like a wall of win. Like he ended up looking like a powerhouse. This is probably one of the strongest performances I've seen from John Moxley in an AEW ring. Without like bleeding profusely, without repeatedly biting somebody or scratching their backs or whatever it is, the gimmicky stuff that he does. Yes, there was still the classic gimmicky John Moxley stuff here, but this match, um, for something that wasn't personal for John Moxley, my God, he sure it sure felt pretty personal in this match with Will Ospreay. Osprey looked great too. Osprey never, he never not. Okay, he never don't not look good. Okay, all right. He always looks good in the ring. Um, but I don't know. There was something very special and epic about this match and John Moxley. There was something very epic about John Moxley's performance here. Uh, it was nightmare fuel. Like I don't know. I don't know. This was a great match for both men, but I have to say that this is probably one of the just like this is the best look I've seen on John Moxley in a minute in the ring. Again, my personal opinion. This match was fantastic, but it was also heartbreaking. um and as far as story wise is concerned, it was devastating. It was like watching your favorite team lose the Super Bowl or the Stanley Cup or whatever it is, whatever sport ball you watch. It was like that. It felt like that. What did you
Yeah.
think?
I agree. While Moxley and Osprey put on one hell of a match,
Jesus Christ.
and I was so excited. Right when the bell rang, Osprey like immediately just demolishes Moxley with a hidden blade, and it was
Oh.
like one of like three or four of them that he ends up hitting on Moxley. But I hate to say it, but I feel like Moxley, when he said that Osprey is going to defeat himself, ended up being correct here.
Yeah.
Because the story of this match is that Osprey had Moxley beat early on,
Yep.
but then because he wanted to extract even more punishment and more vengeance and not just end the match, and I mean, he could have won the match and then proceeded to kick the crap out of Moxley further.
Yep.
Um, Instead, Will Ospreay lingered long enough to let Moxley back into the match, and then that allowed Moxley to eventually win the match. Especially since, despite the fact that like guys like Kenny Omega who had diverticulitis, and I hate to put those two together, but it's for the point I'm about to make. Will Ospreay coming back from neck surgery, he's completely healed. He's been cleared, but the way it's playing out is that anytime anybody does so much as whisper at Will Ospreay's neck, Will has to now hold his neck and act like he's dying for everything that happens after. And I'm like, okay, I get it for the storytelling, I do. But like we all also know that this wrestler wouldn't be cleared to perform in this ring if his neck was really at risk. Like
Yeah.
it's an old injury, he has healed from it. It is not still injured. um, and it's the same thing with like Kenny Omega's diverticulitis. Like it's like he had the surgery, he's healed, he's well. They even had their doctor come out and say just exactly that on like Dynamite to counteract, I guess, what MJF had said about how like, Kenny Omega's about to explode if so much as something tickles his navel. Um so I get it, right? Like you're playing the injury angle, but like the nanosecond anything happens to Osprey's neck, Osprey is just demolished for the rest of it. That's been the case since he came back. And I hate to see it, not just because I'm a fan of Will Ospreay, but it's like, are you sure you're cleared to wrestle? Because if anybody so much as looks askance at your neck, you are now like unable to perform for the
Ah,
rest of the match.
ah,
Yeah.
rough, rough.
So, you know, I gotta admit, like, as a fan, like as somebody who's reviewing it, this was a fantastic match between the two of them. But as a fan, I really hate seeing Osprey like this, and maybe that's the point.
Yeah,
But if Osprey is going to come back to be Gimp Osprey, then what was the point of coming back? Same with like Kenny Omega. It's like Kenny's back. Is he? Because like 1 second from now, somebody will accidentally brush him in the midsection, and all we will know is his new moniker, diverticulitis. I feel like it's playing itself out, to be quite honest, these injury angles.
yeah,
Because it's like, okay, you were injured, and during a match, if it happened in the match, I could see how that would play out. But now you are healed, you are cleared, it's over and done with. So if it's to the if I'm expected to believe that we're at the point where your neck is not in fact healed, and if anybody looks at you dirty in the neck, your skull pops off and you can't function,
go
then
to the
why are
video.
you cleared to be in the ring in the first fucking place? The doctor could have figured that out. All he would have had to do is thump Will Ospreay's neck and see Ospreay now in paroxysms of pain, unable to move, and be like, "Oh well, we're not going to be able to clear you to wrestle, my dude." So I feel like it's being a little bit overplayed in both of those scenarios with both Kenny Omega and Ospreay, and it's like I'm sure there's some reason for that. Like the reason has to be the only reason Osprey lost against Moxley is because his neck is demolished. The only reason Kenny Omega, loses against MJF is because of diverticulitis. Any of these things.
Yeah,
But I feel like it is super played out now. Like I'm so sick of like the new nickname of Kenny Omega basically being diverticulitis, and I damn sure don't want Will the Broken Neck Osprey to be his legacy in this sport. Cool, we get it. They had surgeries, they were sick, but you have cleared them. They're past that shit now. It's healed, and they are cleared to wrestle. So let's just do something else, is my take on it.
yeah,
Because I'm tired of watching like super mega gimp versions of like the guys that I really like in AEW because they got injured that one time or they had an affliction, which they are well past now. It I know it's a trope of professional wrestling, but it's like beyond a certain point, like it's like, did you know that Swerve Strickland had a hairline fracture in his instep when he was in elementary school, and that old injury is coming back? It's like, no, he's healed. That shit is no longer an issue. It's not been an issue for years. We're good. And there's no way anybody would have cleared Osprey to wrestle the match anymore if he or wrestle at all anymore if he wasn't cleared and his neck was fine.
right.
Same with diverticulous Henny, so I get it. You did it. We've seen it. Time to move on because it's super old now. That said, I genuinely did enjoy this match. I just really get tired of the whole like, oh, he was injured and now he's back and he's apparently still super injured because the minute anybody attacks that area, they are now non-functional.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Darby Allin is like jumping off the rafters into concrete steps with his spine and he's fine.
speaking of Darby Allin,
Speaking of Darby Allin, go ahead.
he has big plans for Wednesday's Dinamite. So, from what he was talking, backstage with Rennie Pickett, uh, it's going to be in his hometown, and he's thinking whoever wins, the match between Kenny Omega and MJF, like he's talking like he's going for the belt on Dynamite. Now, if it's MJF that wins, MJF is not going to agree to have a match for the belt on Wednesday. He's not. He's gonna Just no. Uh, 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 no, 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 thank you. He's not gonna do it. Uh, if it's Omega, Omega would be like, yeah, I'm game, most likely. But I don't know. I don't know, man.
Yeah, here's my thing. I think this is already booked, so it's not up to the champion to say yay or nay. This,
Oh,
so I think
really?
we're getting a heavyweight championship match with whomever against Darby Allin.
Oh man, I don't know.
Hey, it might sound unfair to whoever emerges as the champion, but it's not like Darby Allin didn't annihilate himself in his match with Andrade,
Yeah,
so
that's true.
everybody's
That's
equally
true.
ass whipped going into it.
That's true. Well, we shall see.
Yeah, I'm here for it. I'm real curious to see how this plays out.
Yeah.
Speaking of curious how it will play out, we come to our next match on this fantastic card for Dynasty, and it is the AEW World Trios Championship match with the defending champions, the Dogs, Gabe Kidd, Dave Finlay, and Clark Connors, who just won it on Dynamite. Um, it was either Dynamite or Collision. I can't remember which, but yeah, they had
Yeah.
only just won the belts. So this is their first title defense against the conglomeration, and we only know two of the potential three members because it's a surprise who the third member is going to be. We know it's going to be Roderick Strong and Orange Cassidy. It's that third man that we don't know. And we were conjecturing like crazy over who we thought it might be.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we were like, "Oh, is it going to be Mark Briscoe?" And then I said, "Or could it be a big return for Kyle O'Reilly?" And it turns out the latter was true. The mysterious third man is in fact Kyle O'Reilly. And so now that we know all the pieces in play,
Alrighty.
auto wrestle. Um, Now that we know all the pieces on the board, what were your thoughts on this trios match, this championship match?
What a fun match. Kyle comes. Well, first of all, their opener, the way they
The
come out to
opener,
the ring
yeah.
was freaking amazing, like a sitcom. Um, and then they get a knock at the door, and it's Kyle O'Reilly. So yay! Then the dogs come out, and they apparently destroy the set. Um, one of them, I'm not gonna say anybody's name. I'm just gonna say one of them tried to make sweet Tata love to their belt on the sofa. Um, yeah, yeah. So they came out like a bunch of year 7 students, and the match ensued. I thought this was a really fun match. Surprise ending, because like you said, they just won the match, won the belts like on Collision or Dynamite. One of those. It hasn't been long, and they got their asses stomped, and the belts removed. So yeah, new AEW World Trios champions. Which looked like Orange Cassidy was just as shocked as we were when the camera zoomed in on him. He had the what face. But Orange Cassidy, Roderick Strong, and Kyle O'Reilly are now the belt holders, and I'm okay with that. That's a pretty mean team. Orange Cassidy is no joke. Uh, we know, like they mentioned, Kyle O'Reilly is no joke. He's the only guy to date, allegedly, that has been able to pin or to beat Moxley by submission twice. So that's impressive. Uh, and we already know Roderick Strong is here to destroy spines. So yeah, that's a great team. Everybody looked good. Everybody looked good. They did. I was just very surprised that the War Dogs lost the belts that quick. I'm not sure what happened, I don't know if one of them is injured or something. I don't know, but I just felt like you guys just won the belts. So that was very surprising. But other than that, this was a really good match. It was fun, and it was like a nice little reward for us sitting through watching Osprey not win. The heartbreak was still real, so this was like them going, "Hey, come on, guys, cheer up! Look, you want Roderick and Kyle and Cassidy to win some belts, guys. Come on, cheer up! Look, they won belts." It was kind of like that, and we were like, "Oh, well, that's cool. Yay, thanks. Oh, Kyle, yay, he's back. Thanks. All right, yeah, we feel better." It was kind of like one of those, and I'm here for it. I took it. I accepted it. I loved it. It was good. What did you think?
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I was surprised that there was a title change. I was pleasantly surprised to see a returning Kyle O'Reilly. I thought it was fantastic that O'Reilly was the linchpin, or rather, lynch submission, I should say, that secured them the win. Um, I do feel that everybody looked really good in this match. Kyle O'Reilly, of course, looked good, and but there was the way it played out. There was a part where the dogs took O'Reilly out by hitting. I'm trying to remember what they call their finisher. The move where Finley holds O'Reilly in like a vertical suplex while Connors then like comes either off the top rope or in this case off the apron into a spear to you know the individual being held in the vertical suplex position.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and they did that to Kyle on the outside of the ring. So for a long time in the match, beyond that point, O'Reilly was just not there. And I think we were like, well, is he going to come back? You were saying like, yeah, O'Reilly's out of here. And I was like, well, they're setting up the heroic comeback at the last minute for O'Reilly. And that's pretty much how it played out. Um, so near the end of the match, O'Reilly does get back on to the apron and gets tagged in. And this ultimately leads to O'Reilly, I think, making Clark Connors tap out. And he did so with the assist from Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong, keeping the other members outside of the ring. And it was a really good match.
Yeah.
Everybody looked pretty good here. I even got to give Gabe Kidd some props because his pile drivers looked disgusting.
Yep.
Clark Connors is a standout. He's a standout in how he sells, and he's a standout in the fact that he can make a shoulder block and like a spear look so freaking impactful. Like everything he does, like he just comes flying like from out of frame into the picture at Mach 5 and just demolishes somebody. It looks
Yeah.
really good. They're simple
Yep.
moves. We've seen spears and shoulder blocks. That's not what makes it work for him. It's not that it's novel. It's just that his execution of it is just brutal and
Yeah.
high impact. So I definitely think Connors is one to watch. I still kind of of the mind that the dogs are a bit on the goofier side, but when they get in the ring, there's nothing goofy about them. What they do in the ring is just disgusting. Finlay vertically suplex slamming people like by just yeeting them, and his power bomb is nasty. I mean, there's some real heavy hitters in the dogs for sure. Um, and I absolutely agree with you. I think there was a couple of reasons that this match happened when it did, because I feel like writ large, this pay-per-view caught wind of like the previous pay-per-view where we were like, oh, it's a heels pay-per-view. All the heels are winning. And so they broke it up. They're like, no, we're going to stagger it so that nobody can look at this and go, see, there's a pattern of the heels winning or there's a pattern of the faces winning. So they staggered it. And so we just saw Will Ospreay get his face kicked off by John Moxley. And so they were like, okay, now the face has got to, we're going to keep them guessing. It's not obviously a heels pay-per-view. And as you said, I think, people needed a morale boost. So that entrance with them playing it kind of like an episode of like Friends or something, as the
Yeah.
conglomeration. I think it would have been great if when Kyle came in and said, "Did somebody say conglomeration?" and they were like, "No, I didn't say it. Did you say it?" "No, I didn't say it." If like Mark Briscoe had just opened the door and screamed conglomeration and then slammed the door shut, that would have been hilarious. But it was good. It was good. It was fun. It was a good match and a surprising championship, transition because like again, the dogs had only won those belts like 24 hours prior. And so, keeping that title mobility is good. It keeps us guessing because it's not like, oh, well, they're obviously not going to lose the belts because they only just won them. Now we're going to be like, oh, shit, we don't know who's going to win. And that's phenomenal. That's what keeps the show fun to watch
Yep.
is that it's trying really hard to maintain an unpredictability the way it's being booked, and that's really well done by AEW. I give them mad props for that. I like it. I know I like to make predictions, and I certainly am happy if I'm proven right. But I also like to be, as a fan, surprised. Like, oh, fantastic! Especially when it's good surprises. Like it's like, oh, yay! We knew how this was going to go for sure, 100%. And it's because they keep us on our toes that AEW is such a fun product to watch right now. Like I think it really is best value for time and money for any wrestling fan.
Yeah.
So yeah, fantastic match. Really good stuff here. And that, I believe, brings us to the main event of Dynasty. I had to say it that way because you started out as Tony Storm. Um, and that is the AEW World Championship match, a battle between God and the Devil. The Devil, MJF, the defending AEW World Champion, versus the God of Professional Wrestling, Kenny Diverticulous Omega. Diverticulitis. See, I can't even get that right. All right. But it is a battle versus good and evil here, as they have presented it. And this is going to be a major clash. What were your thoughts on this AEW World Championship match?
um, absolutely epic. Even their entrances with the one winged angel, uh, in the back for Omega, his entrance was so cool.
Yeah,
Um, it was really cool. And yes, MJF's devil entrance was just as cool.
it
His
was
gear.
cool. Yeah, his
Oh
gear
my
was rad. Somewhere,
god.
I think I said this on the night, but I was like, Damian Priest is jealous.
I
He's
would
looking
if
at that
I
gear that
oh
MJF
my
has.
god, if I were Damon, I'd be so super jelly on that gear. Yeah, this match was fan fucking tastic. This was definitely the main event. MJF looked fantastic. Kenny Omega looked fantastic. I'm just gonna keep saying fantastic over and over again. Uh, Honestly, long story short, this was the storytelling was good, the wrestling was good, the technical performances were good. I mean, I could go on and on. Excuse me. Kenny and MJ look fantastic together. Um, Nobody held anybody back here. This was just all in all good, fantastic wrestling with classic MJF heel actions abound. Um, but yeah, I thought this was a fantastic match. I'm gonna say that I did not see Kenny Omega winning, and I say that because we started. I feel big. We started with Hangman Adam Page. He didn't win. All right. I just didn't. I don't see anybody else after that. Like That's why I'm like, Darby. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because I think MJF is on a roll right now. Not that doesn't take anything away from any of these performers. Performers? Any of these performers, they were
The
all
performancers.
fantastic. Just stop it. Um, they were all good, but this, like, I feel like this is MJF's year. What did you think about this match?
I'm inclined to agree. These guys really brought it. I mean, everybody left everything in the ring for Dynasty. Like this had that epic big match feel all the way through. And this was like watching a card of main events.
Yeah,
And this was the main event of a main event card.
yeah,
Kenny Omega and MJF threw literally everything at them. So much so that MJF was resorting to like using moves from guys who left AEW to go to WWE. At one point, he hits Omega with the crossroads and he yells it like he's like crossroads and he hits it and then he follows that up with a package pile driver, aka the Fear Factor, which is the former finisher of Penta. So MJF is like just, he's not only drilling Omega with these moves, but he's, kind of sending a message of, look, I can do anything you can do, but better. Um, and these guys really just went after each other. It was such a good match.
yeah,
But ultimately, the thing that we saw at the beginning of the match, which was Bryce Remsburg taking away the dynamite diamond ring from MJF, ends up playing a part because there's a part in this match where going for a V trigger, I want to say MJF pulls Bryce Remsburg into the collision path, and so he just eats a V trigger, and it's like, brrr, and so the ref is dead. And while the ref is dead, MJF, of course, low blows Omega and then proceeds to, go rifle through the pockets of the referee for the Dynamite Diamond ring. But then he tries to hit Omega with it, and Omega stops him and hits the One Winged Angel. And par for the course, when everybody in the ring knows that the referee is dead as hell,
yes,
Omega then proceeds to try and get the pin when there's no fucking ref. And the crowd's able to count to like 9 billion. I think if, without hyperbole, I think they got the count maybe up to 15. And another ref comes out there, and by that point, MJF's able to kick out. And so Omega picks MJF up, and they end up out on the apron. And I want to say Omega's trying to grab hold of MJF to put him through a table with the One Winged Angel outside of there. And I guess Omega forgot that MJF had the Dynamite Diamond Ring, but MJF remembered that he had the Dynamite Diamond Ring and just like gut punches Omega with it. And then, of course, that makes Omega just be a limp noodle. And so then MJF picks up Kenny Omega and tombstone pile drives him off the apron through the table. And without missing a beat, he immediately rises back to his feet, throws Omega up on the apron, and he's just sort of laid there draping on the middle rope, gets back in and hits the heat seeker, and then gets the 1-2-3. So MJF was able to pick up the win here, but it absolutely required shenanigans, including a referee being demolished and the Dynamite Diamond Ring being used,
high
and
level shenanigans.
clearly displaying to everyone in the universe that Omega could have won that if the referee hadn't been down and out and if MJF didn't cheat. So it seems clear to me that MJF cannot defeat a 99% Kenny Omega. And I say that because they still act like him having had diverticulitis means that if you look at his midsection, he's dead. So he's clearly not 100% if we're going to play that game. You got to pick a lane, guys.
Yeah,
So it was very clear that Omega would have won if the match hadn't turned to shenanigans. But because it did, MJF is able to kill God. God is dead. what was it, Nietzsche? Nietzsche is right. And the devil closes the show. He gloats all the way back up to his dark throne, puts his horns back on, and poses with his belt as the throne descends back down into the stage. And that is how Dynasty came to a close. So, that said, what was your review of AEW Dynasty?
Bruh, that was a 10 out of 10. I'm not even gonna BS. That was an amazing uh pay-per-view. Um Worth every single penny. High octane from start to finish. Not one weak match. Uh yeah, fantastic. This was a 10 neck nub pay-per-view. Well done. Top
That's a
tier.
lot of Nick Nubs. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Yeah,
Top.
I fully agree. This, while I might not have been pleased with the loss of Kenny Omega and the loss of Will Ospreay, as a fan, as anybody who can appreciate a good show and the story that they're trying to build here, this was a 10 out of 10 pay per view. Like you mentioned, there wasn't a single weak match. Everybody left absolutely everything in the damn ring, and you got everybody your money's worth. There is no way in hell that you can be a wrestling fan and have seen AEW Dynasty and not been pleased with what your eyes just feasted upon. 10 of 10, the toppest of tiers. AEW Dynasty was absolutely a top tier show.
Yeah.
So, that all said, this has been our review of AEW Dynasty. And I want to thank everybody who has joined us for this episode. And I invite all of you to join us for our next episode. Until then, I don't think there's anything for me to do but roll the outro.
Bye, guys. Hey, thanks for tuning into this episode of Top Tier Wrestling. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into the latest wrestling news and shows. You can find us on all major podcast platforms as well as our YouTube channel where we upload all of our episodes. You could also follow us on Instagram and X for updates and to join the conversation. Until next time, everyone, remember, wrestling is always better when it's top tier.